Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And look, he's back. It's Tony Mann, director and owner of Idle Travel. We've not spoken for a while, Tony. It's so nice to have you back on again. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. We hadn't spoke, I don't think, and I'm saying until we were dancing to Boney M at the Jet 2 conference, because as you know, I'm a lover of music, lover of Boney M, knew every song. That's the sad music repertoire that I like.
Well,
So
I was with you there. I'm exactly the same. We're probably the only people who knew all the lyrics, but
absolutely.
that was fantastic. Well, listen, we're thrilled you've come to join us today. We're going to have a really nice chat today, everyone,
Yeah.
because it's a very special year. Tony has celebrated 40 years of idle travel. It's such a fantastic landmark. And Tony, I just wanted to get you on to talk about that 40 years and what's changed in that time. But I want to take you right back, if I can, talk about how it all started, because, of course, travel wasn't in your blood right from the beginning, was it? Tell us how you got into travel, what you were doing before.
So 1984 is when we decided on a travel agent. But prior to that, I was DJing at the time. So I was, believe it or not, a full-time DJ. I like to call myself Dave Doubledecks. But traveling all over the country and actually talking to travel, I'd worked at a place called Primrose Valley, which is on the Yorkshire coast, just outside of Filey and Scarborough, and I'd done a couple of years there. And I met my wife, who also came to Primrose Valley for a year as well. But when we come back, I'd be DJing down the country or sometimes nightclubs or whatever. And my mother and father, or the gist of it is, they kind of looked and thought, who's this little scrote with my daughter? What can we do? He's not got a proper job. And my mother and father-in-law owned a news agents in Idle Village. So there is a place called Idle. And there were all three shops, and another shop came up, and we decided, me and my wife, we bought that and opened that as hairdressers because that's what my wife did. And then bizarrely, the third shop came up, and my mother-in-law said, "Why don't we buy it to give you something to do?" Because I wasn't doing out during the day, she
You're out of
thought I was
trouble.
lazy, absolutely. And so I don't even know how we got, what should we do? Or shall we do this? And then I think she said, "What about a travel agent?" And I went,
Wow.
"Oh,
So
that's
there
good."
wasn't travel agents in Idle at the time. There probably wasn't
Yeah,
one, I guess it would have been one somewhere nearby, but nothing in
Bradford
the
Centre.
village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I just said, "Oh, that sounds good. What do we do?" And she said, "Well, they sell holidays." I thought, "Oh, yeah, let's do that.
But
Let's."
you had, am I right in thinking at that point you hadn't even been abroad yourself?
No, the furthest I'd been was Paynton as a child, and we normally went to Blackpool. It was a bit too far. So yeah, I'd never been abroad. Obviously, I knew what abroad were about. You know what I mean? I'd seen things on the telly. So yeah, I mean, I
So
think
did
about
you,
it
I mean, so
now.
tell me, obviously you opened it, called it Idle Travel, but did you just blag it at first,
Yeah.
or did you do train? Okay, you blagged it. I
I
mean,
blagged it, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, that's my life. I blag it, I give it a go. Yeah, so we had to get, we found out you had to have an ABTA number.
yeah,
You had to have somebody with 2 years experience. So we employed somebody who had that. I did some training then when I had time because, I'm very busy DJing. And so I continued DJing, which I did for years, a few years after. The first year I didn't take any wage, and we kind of just built it up. And so yeah, so my DJing continued. I actually then started to sing over the years while I was still being a traveler.
we
I
know
know,
about your
I know.
singing.
But I'll tell you this as well. So I also thought, oh, what else can I do? I'm a frustrated entertainer really, and I thought, oh, what about comedy magic? So I'd seen this thing. I'd seen all these escapologists, and obviously you look at the Vegas stars. So I got myself a mailbag magic trick, and so I used to get in chains and everything, and I tried to escape from Mission Impossible. But a couple of times when on stage, I couldn't get out. So after it had finished, people just had to drag me off stage.
In the
So I
bag.
thought, yeah. So I thought, oh, maybe I focus on being a travel agent.
Yeah,
Skip, not my
on
thing.
balance, you actually were better at that.
Well, some would say not possibly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
so that's some of the bizarre life that I led. But as I said, I sang for quite a few years. But
well, we might hold. Don't keep telling us that, Tony, because we might, as this goes on, we might get you to give us a little
uh,
a little
it's,
tune.
as you get older, your voice gets worse. That's all I'll
Oh
say.
yeah, no
So
excuses now. All right. So look, so you'd employed someone, you'd got a bit of training, and you're obviously starting to enjoy it. I guess you started to make some sales. And what were you selling? Really just bucket and spade to the meds? Is that really
Yeah,
how you
more or
started?
less. Thompson Holidays was his main one at the time, and we'd done some Australia and stuff like that. So of course, well, not of course, but you start looking into it, and obviously there were lots to do then. You had the ABCs and ticketing and all that nonsense that I don't have to think about now. But it was a real buzz, and actually one of the biggest things I remember is a guy called Joe. Oh, I forgot his name. He used to book with us as well. Came along from Thompson's. He was the area manager and said, "Oh, I see you've done a few bookings." I spoke to him, we're chatting away, and he says, "Do you want to come on an educational?" I went, "What's one of them?" So he says, "Well, we're going to take you to Benidorm in winter." And he said, and Young at Heart was a massive program then. He says, and we're going to show you the Young at Heart program. So I went, "Yeah, let's do it." So we went to Benidorm in the winter. We saw the tea dances, and then he said some agents do groups. So we started doing tea dances in Bradford, and then started doing groups. And again, all them things all of a sudden gets you excited, doesn't it? I mean, funnily enough, because I was in the entertainment thing, it was easy to find a drummer and a keyboard player who were going to do that. So as soon as he said, "Oh, do you know any entertainers?" "Oh, I do actually." So
Brilliant.
yeah, that kind of, when I think about it, that got me hooked in and thinking, what else
Yeah,
can we do? And of course, then you think about advertising, and it's a little ad in paper that costs an absolute fortune, and it'll be in a week's time or whatever it is, and and it kind of grew from there, and so it was bobbing along.
and how long were you at it before your in-laws thought, yeah, all right, he's got a proper job now. We're quite proud of him.
40 years. Although they're not with us now. Do you know something? They were great. They give us that break. They did little bits in it. When I think about it, just to say go for it. And actually, then they give us a second chance because Morrison's where we are now. So we're in a shopping
Yeah,
centre now. And we've been here 30 odd years. I think it was about 18 months into being in the village that Morrison's first out of town shopping centre said, "We're going to build this massive shopping centre." And I said to mother and father, "Oh, I think we probably need to be in there if we could, because I think we won't last in the village." And luckily, we got to meet them. They liked the idea that it was going to be us. Actually, it was going to be a co-op, because Sunwing Travel was big in Bradford then. And anyway, they decided to let us do it. And
brilliant.
again, they give me that faith to to do that and to spend the money, and I suppose we're on a bit of a crest of a
Significantly.
wave, really. So
And that must have changed things fairly significantly, Tony. I mean, being in a small village, I know you'd have had the community and probably people who went to your wife for their hair. She
absolutely.
probably she
And the
probably said, "Oh,
news agents,
have you booked
yeah,
your holiday and you bought your papers or whatever?" So I guess it was all probably working well. But you must have reached a point then that to grow, you needed to have a bigger shop and a
yeah,
bigger sort
more
of
staff, yeah.
community. Yeah,
We did. We kind of, yeah, we went from one extreme to another,
yeah.
from kind of not knowing what we're doing to thinking, "Oh, let's just double that then," not knowing what we're doing. So we kept the shop a little bit in the village, but it was a far different prospect, different. We had to have it fit. I remember the first shop fitters we got. It was grey and red. In fact, I just found some photos. It's horrendous of me, with me mullet and me, as I call it, a porno tash. Not a great look, but it looked good in '80s. And we got these
Was it
guys
the
in.
big handlebar one?
It was like I always say the wedding singer.
Yeah,
Adam
yeah,
Sandler.
yeah.
That's probably me, really,
Oh,
deep down.
I
So,
wish at this point we could flash up picture. Well, maybe we can.
oh well,
Dig out a
hopefully.
picture. Dig out a picture.
Yeah.
We'd love to see that.
It was that type of thing. So, but yeah, so it just, I don't know. It was when I think, I don't even know how we did do it really, because the
And
shop was huge.
even, I mean, looking back, would you say? I mean, obviously, you were saying you got the buzz. You were hooked in by then, and you thought, "What else can I do?" And you've always, since I've known you, you've always been like that. You do get this buzz from it, don't you? But I mean, were they the best times, or have there always been good times throughout the 4 decades? And I guess they've been different.
They've been different, haven't they? I think over the time, look, it's been amazing where it's took me. It's given me lots. I've travelled. My God, I don't have to go to painting anymore. I've been all over, but
Apologies to anyone watching from
no, I
painting.
love painting. I still love the UK, but I could go other places.
Yeah.
I don't like flying. Strangely enough, I found that out. I'm a scaredy cat on flying, and
Still.
yeah, yeah, still, yeah, I'm terrible. And I don't like water, so and I've been on cruises, so so yeah, it just gives you a buzz, and it opened up everything. Everything was, I suppose, new to me. You got a buzz when you're looking at all the different bookings that were coming in. We had other staff that knew things, and you're getting all that knowledge in there. But it also becomes a completely different thing to what you think it was. So, in the end, as I said, the first refit, it looked nice, but when you opened the drawer and handle come off, it was like really terrible. So from then after that, we've fit our shop a few times. We've done it ourselves. We've done the design ourselves. But yeah, you just like everything, but you do have your ups and downs. Over the years, ILG, International Leisure Group,
Yeah.
so Intersun, Lancaster Holidays, etc., had a base in Bradford, was probably between them and Thompson's was our number one. So we experienced a large company going bust. So again, you're having to think, oh, what do we do here? And the forms you had to fill in, etc. So that was a down and thinking, oh, what's going to happen? But you get through it, you get yourself in a process, and you explain to people, you work really long hours, and we had appointments for people and stuff. And then you have things like 9/11, I suppose, and the ash cloud,
Yeah.
all them things that happen. I remember having breakfast one morning when ash cloud happened, thinking, what's that saying on telly? Oh, flights have been grounded.
Yeah.
But you kind of you get through them, and in the shop that well, not this shop now actually, because we've moved in the shopping mall, but that were a 20-year lease, and we wouldn't take a 20-year lease now, but them days you had to commit in big shopping centres, and as much as that was in a fantastic position, became a bit of a heavy stone to bear when the internet hit. So we've
Yeah.
had all them things when it said travel agents, is this the end of travel agents? And some,
Well, I seem to remember writing those stories at the time when the internet, everyone thought, well, that was it. No one will ever
absolutely.
use a travel agent again. I mean, hasn't it been interesting though how it's kind of come full circle?
It has, yeah. Look, at that time, we had a couple of years left on his lease, and the lease was forever going up, and then the internet hit, and then sales were dropping, and you kind of sit there thinking, "Oh, is this it? What we're going to do?" And looks plays a big part of that, and luckily for us, Morrison's decided to refit our shopping centre. It needed it, and lucky again for us, we were the only independent shop that they kept. And they put us in. They said, "Look, we want to keep you. Do you fancy staying? But unfortunately, you're going to have to come out of the shopping mall because we're going to knock it down. Do you want to go in a porter cabin?"
I
So
remember
that's
that.
and I said, "What? A porter cabin?" So I said, "How big's that?" And they went, "Oh no, it's big. It's huge." And it was huge. It's so they brought this big porter cabin, but I looked at it and I thought, what can I do with that? And it was prominent in the car park. So you're easily forgot as a travel agent. You have to. One of the biggest things I think you have to learn is marketing, 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 marketing. You're easily forgot. And so, we'd done that. And I thought, what can I do? How can I turn this ugly grey porter cabin
Yeah.
into a positive? So I'd seen that you could wrap, they're like wrap cars now. So I thought, oh, I'm going to put a big beach scene on it. So I got it wrapped. Well, I asked if I could wrap it first, and they said I could. So, they had this massive porta cabin. It had a beach scene on it. So I put a slope up and some decking. So some decking outside to get in. And then when
Brilliant.
the weather were good, a deck chair and stuff outside. And it was really busy because we were prominent in the car
Yeah.
park. Because some people, if they come at the top end of the store, they're still coming now. We've been here all this time. I said, "Oh, I didn't know there were travel agents here. Have you been here long?" Yeah, just
Brilliant.
a little bit. So, you're forever having to market all the time, and new people come to the
But
area.
you've been very good at that, Tony, and in different mediums as well, because of course people might know that you had your own radio show. I mean, that's been something that, I mean, how did that come about? Did you approach them? Did they come to you? How did that happen?
No, I think I've always not helped. For many years, BBC Radio Leeds come and said, "Look, do you fancy doing with a presenter on a Sunday morning talking about travel?" And actually, it was in the National Museum of Photography in Bradford, so a great building. And I used to go there on a Sunday. She's called Diane Luke, and then presenters move on, and then they'd ask me about news items, and then you got regular, certain presenters would use you more than others. Richard Stead, I used to work with it quite a lot, and so I would go into the studio, we'd talk about travel just for an hour. People would call in or, send questions. But then when COVID happened, they said, look, do you fancy doing it? Again, an hour, I think it was. And I can't remember if it was every 2 weeks or every month. But they said, is there anything you don't want to talk about? I went, no, let's just talk
Yeah.
about it. You know what I mean? And I
But that's
think,
how you and I started talking a lot as well, actually, because COVID was, I mean, we can come on to talk about that, but it was hard. It was really hard, and everybody was struggling, and nobody really knew what everyone else was, going through. And actually, you came on these calls, and we had so much feedback to your honesty, how candid you were about how tough it was, and people liked listening to that.
it was really tough. I think that, that's been as tough as time, hasn't it, really? It's that, and you try and think, how can I see not a positive? I looked at that time and thought, well, everybody's struggling. I think if you have a business and sales are dropping, but everybody ain't dropping, then you've got a bit of a problem. You're either in the wrong position, you're selling the wrong
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Everybody has a problem, and I know that that's not sharing it, but what could we do? And it was frustrating, wasn't it? Lots of people disappeared, operators, etc. And obviously customers wanted answers, they wanted the money back, or
yeah.
and it was tough. It was tough
And
on
you
the
were in
team.
the firing line because often you didn't have the money to give back. I guess you had
No,
to sometimes refund them out of your own pocket. We know lots of agents
absolutely.
did that, but
Yeah, we did. Look, again, I would say luck was on our side. We had no debt at that point. We're in a decent position actually. After the internet dipped, we then grew again. We kind of re-evolved and grew again, and it started to slowly rise up to
did you?
2019.
How did in that period actually, Tony, when the internet hit and you had to kind of adapt your business, I guess, how did you grow again? Did you just start selling things that were a little bit more complex that people couldn't book so easily online, or what did you do to
Trying
sort
to
of
cut
overcome that?
costs. You looked at your costs that were coming in and thinking,
Yeah,
right, we didn't let anybody go. Touch wood, I've never had to do that. But people generally, as years go by, move on, and we probably didn't replace. And we looked
yeah,
at what we were spending, and we just had to think, right, I suppose battle down the hatches, etc. See what we're doing, just be careful on what we're doing, and then do a gradual growth. See where we could grow. I remember then up to 2019, the growth that we had back. My daughter, actually from the Porter cabin, my daughter come to work for us. She hadn't any travel experience. But one of the things I said, well, look, Facebook, there's this Facebook thing. I think that we should look at that. I'm not on Facebook, by the way, but and I thought, that I think we could do something with that. And then obviously my daughter is on Facebook, and I said, look, I think we need to build that up. So you did things like that, and that was a slow, gradual process, but it comes in. I mean, now that's just a thing on its own. It's crazy. And again, the marketing side. So we had a nice growth back. As I said, we were lucky because the Porter cabin thrust us in front of everybody
yeah,
because it was in the centre, the shopping malls in the corner. That was luck on that side. But obviously, I suppose you look and think, what can I do with that? Let's put, the sun and sand and everything, and that brought new people in. So you're forever trying to think, how can we market ourselves, I
yeah.
suppose.
Because you
And the
must have
radio
I
helped.
mean, you must have competitors, maybe not in the actual shopping centre, but you must have competitors, but even if they're your
Absolutely.
online competitors. I mean, so you have to stay one step ahead, don't you? You've always
You
been
do.
good at that, I think.
Well, if I think back in the 80s, I think when we used to look around the Bradford postcode, I think that we used to they'd say that there were 32 agents,
Gosh.
and there's definitely not that now. But there's agents near us. Bradford Centre's only a few miles away.
Yeah,
And it's a bit like the look of Jet2 holidays coming along. So we're probably about 15, 20 minutes away from Leeds Bradford Airport.
yeah,
And Thompson's, I think they turned it to TUI by then, had pulled out of Leeds. So Leeds, everybody used to go into our shop, and the biggest thing we sell is Leeds Bradford. And we would market ourselves to say we're Leeds Bradford specialist. But, I'll be any specialist that you want. I'll be a coach specialist if I'm going to sell it. But so it was important to us. And at that time, Jet2 was starting to grow their flights. So you start to do that dynamic packaging. And I'm looking at all that thinking, oh, I don't like this. I'm a travel agent. I don't like these dynamic packages. It's with the
Really?
things that we were doing. Yeah. And then they came along. So then we had another operator and we focused on that as well. So again, that's
And you
look.
became a specialist, I don't know how they, what are they, are you called a specialist agent for Jet2?
I don't know what they call me to my face, but I just thought they were going to grow. And for us from Leeds Bradford, I think what we've been lucky there is that was their first base. And
Yeah,
I saw that, and I know my customers wanted Leeds Bradford. I didn't expect them to obviously grow as big as they have now, but
right.
for us, that was a godsend as being that as a package holiday.
Yeah. And you
Um,
felt more comfortable selling a package because you didn't have to take the responsibility.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah,
had in my head, my marketing was, well, I suppose, think Jet2, think Leeds Brand, think Idle Travel.
yeah,
As I would always focus on somebody who come and do stuff from Leeds Bradford over the years, different operators, think, oh, if I push that, maybe someone ain't pushing that. Or, not everybody would market at the same time or the same thing. And so that grew. And again, that's luck of them being in there because with TUI or Thompson's, whoever they were at that point, disappearing, lots of customers, even though they can go to Manchester,
yeah,
wanted leads. And so
yeah,
that grew, if you like, I hung on their tails. But I would always look for somebody to think, who's going from Leeds, especially. Even the last couple of years, not Leeds, but we've pushed things like every year. I try to think, what can I get behind that might grow a bit? So we focused on America last year, and we had a great
yeah,
success with that. That's with the help of marketing, but social media and things, because I get excited that I know this is how it's meant to be, but you can put an offer on Facebook and obviously the website, etc. And within 2 minutes, somebody books it.
yeah,
And that in every time. But if you think back to the 80s, you had to wait for God knows how many days before it went in the paper.
yeah.
It's such a slow. So sometimes you can get a response is so quick.
And
And
that's quite thrilling, I imagine. And then you just want to do it
yeah,
more. The adrenaline.
yeah, you get that. Even that gives me a buzz, and it
Yeah,
doesn't all work, and you
no,
shouldn't expect it to all work. But you think so. The internet that I thought might finish us off because everybody says, "Oh, I don't book at travel agents. I go and book on internet." You know what I mean? So they now come back to us. COVID brought a lot of
yeah.
people back because of what we were doing. As all agents
Do
will.
you charge a fee for what you do, Tony, or it's just basically they're getting a better service, they feel
Yeah.
comfortable, but okay.
No, no, we don't. Look, to me, I'm a travel agent. That's what I am. I see things about being called different things. I've been called many things, but I like to be called a travel agent. Okay.
Oh,
And
some
service.
people are trying to change your name, aren't they? They're trying to campaign because they think it's not good enough for you, but you're
Yeah.
quite proud to be a travel agent.
I'm very proud to be a travel agent, and what's important to me, my business, when I say my business, our family business is
Yeah,
important to me. Service is important to me. If things go wrong through our mess, it upsets me. If I read a bad review about us, it gets me personally. I won't,
yeah,
I don't not think about it. And obviously we'll try and resolve it. We try and give the best service we can. Most of the time we hit that. We don't hit that every time because nobody's perfect. But I take things personal, and with operators, I expect them to also give a service, and I'm
well,
sure some people will tell you, I like to be honest with them. I think it's feedback, but it's important that they give my customers a service because if it goes wrong, it's my family name, as in Idle Travel, gets it. So, and it's important.
please. If people haven't given the service that you expect to your customers, who obviously you want to, really serve properly, do you stop working with them, and what
Yeah.
do you have to do through the years?
I've turned companies off if that's the case,
Yeah,
because I've also said over the years when people have come to me, sales is not all the key. I mean, obviously you've got to make bookings. You don't make bookings, you're not going to make money, but it's not at all costs. So I would say to when new people come along, look, if you know that that's not right for them, or you know something bad about that, explain it to them. I'd rather not make that booking because
yeah,
obviously they're going to go away, then they're going to tell everybody that they've had a bad time, and
right.
that's their fault. So it's important. Look, with service, everybody in life, when we're going through whatever it is, don't like bad service. We don't
Or
like rude people. And to me, service is easy. I mean, some companies don't make it easy, but it is easy, really, isn't it? Just firstly to do your job, but secondly, we're selling fantastic things. you
And
know,
treat people how, I mean, it's so easy to say, but treat people how you'd want to be treated. As you say, none of us like bad service. So,
yeah. Look, like I said, we're selling great things anyway, aren't we?
yeah,
Really. Hotels, cruises, etc. Wow, we've got amazing things to sell. When I think that, in his news agents, or my mother and father-in-law's news agents, we had sherbet dib dabs, which I liked. Do you know what I mean? Or flying saucers or whatever. I still like them. But and bubblies. But we've got more to sell in the travel agents, so we don't all that stuff.
and has your product mix changed a lot, Tony? I know we talked about, you're obviously very strong on the sort of the med, beach holidays, but you mentioned there you're going to focus on the US, you mentioned cruise there. Like, how's your product mix changed over the years? Or
Yeah,
it,
we now sell quite a lot. It's a good mixture. Obviously, the mainstream is huge for us, and that's our main market. But we definitely have them high value stuff. As I said, America, Maldives, Thailand. All that's coming. Sometimes you look and think, wow, you're on
yeah.
that crest of a wave. And as I said, probably said over the last couple of years, we've been lucky as being a travel agent, all travel agents, that it's got a new zing to it, hasn't it, really?
Yeah,
And
well, I think we interviewed you and you said that the value of a travel agent has actually never been higher. And I guess that's, as you say, post-COVID, because people were stung a bit, weren't they? They'd
yeah,
done their own thing and they had nowhere to go. And of course, you really did show your value then.
and it ain't necessarily any dearer to go to a travel agent, is it? That's the
Well,
fallacy.
it's a misconception, perhaps, isn't it? A lot of people think, yeah,
Yeah.
it
And
might be.
probably years ago, when the internet hit, obviously some companies would try and, I suppose, think they didn't need us and things. And actually, the value of a travel agent is sending the right person to the right holiday, the right hotel, the right cruise line. And so we're helping that tour operator or cruise line, or, whatever, river cruise and hotel, etc. Because we send in, the people who's going to like that, and they're going to, we check the passports. So again, when they get to the airport, they're not getting turned away, and they're not distraught because the passport's out of date, etc., and things like that. So, it's not just about booking, it's about
Yeah,
looking after them as well, and
yeah, the
obviously
whole way through the
relationships.
journey. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
relationships.
absolutely. And
So,
how obviously you've embraced the internet, and we can talk a little bit about that because I know you're not frightened of AI, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that. But how traditional are you as an agent still? I mean, that whole ethos around looking after them and checking their passports. I mean, you do give the full service still, don't you? Even though you're still moving with the time.
yeah, people like us to check them in. People like the tickets. If they don't want tickets, obviously nowadays, most of the time you don't have to have them, but they do like them. They like the ticket wallet. We give these ticket wallets that we bought. They cost me an absolute fortune. They're not the cardboard ones that used to fall apart when you give them.
Oh,
And actually, if we run out, there's like nearly a revolt. What? Where's this ticket wallets? I'm sorry, we've run out, but we've ordered some more, and it's like baggage labels. We still give baggage labels, right?
really?
Yeah, because they want them. I
Yeah,
like a package label, so I can think, is that my case coming round there? Because they all look the same.
yeah.
But they love it. And if I run out, oh, honestly, my name's like, oh, it's not good. So, but
But there's
why?
certain really old school sort of principles that you do that you'll continue doing because your customers just still really like that.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
all ages, by the way. So that's another thing that I've liked over the last, a few years ago, I remember sat in the office thinking, your age, your average age of people coming in is getting older. You could see that, probably around the internet time, because people want coming back, or certain people. But actually, when you come into our office, obviously I love everybody to be coming in, but the age groups of people that we get book is vast. We
Really?
have, younger people, older people, middle-aged people, whatever. And so when I'm sat in the office and it's busy and I'm looking around and there's all families and couples and singles and all ages, I think that's really, I know it's quite sad, but I'm quite gratified by that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but we made an effort when we refurbished this shop that we're in now, and it's a smaller shop, so we're still in the same shopping mall. But I wanted it not to look particularly a traditional, like, well, definitely not like a traditional agent, to show, we have moved with the times. We've got
Yeah.
these lights and things like. Funny enough, I'm just having a little bit of a refurb now, so I've just got a neon lights getting painted. I've been looking at seats and things like that.
Ooh.
So my wife helped. She looked at the design. We stopped getting designers in because of us. They were rubbish. I didn't like it. We can do it ourselves. But I love all that, and it's just I like a general feel. We play music in our shop. Somebody said, "Is there music on in shop?" I went, "I've always had music. And it's not a library, so and it's not,
And
it's
is
not
it a playlist you've created that gives you the kind of holiday feel, or what kind of music you
just
play?
have the radio, nice middle of the
Okay.
road radio on, and we pay for, you have to pay for licenses to
Yeah.
do that. But I just think it just sometimes if it's quiet, yeah, it's there, it's not loud, but I don't like it to be a library. I like it to have a buzz about it. I like
Yeah.
people coming in. I like people obviously insulting me when they come in or whatever it is. We like to
You
have
like a
a
bit of banter, don't you?
we like banter, we
Yeah.
like that. And I like that all my team has banter with different customers. They all like their own people.
So
And
tell me about your team now, Tony. I mean, you mentioned your daughter, which is fantastic, but the team has grown, hasn't it? And I know, the whole COVID, it was difficult for a lot of agents. A lot of people got disillusioned with travel and they left, or they for various reasons. But you've kept your team, I think, pretty intact, haven't you? How many have you
yeah, we
got now?
did. One of the girls who'd been with us for 30 odd years left after COVID. And I mean, I still see her, but she just had enough. She's not stopped in travel, but it was hard. But the rest of the team I kept. And I said to all of them, look, um, I'm not going to make any redundancies or anything like that. We'll just have to work through it. There's the furlough, etc. I said, but just to let you know, me and my wife, we've spoke about it. We're going to look after you. You've looked after me. I'll look after you. So, and that's actually paid dividends coming out of COVID because my team is already here. And I think that we hit the ground running because of that. So I've got a great team. It's been an hard year this year for personal reasons, but having them there has paid dividends. And we do all types of it. One of the most important things I try and do in the shop is laugh. I like to have a laugh. Okay, I like them to have a laugh. It's not all about, it is hard. Don't get me wrong, it's hard work. It is very hard work and it can be demanding at times, but I still think it's good we all have a laugh. We do this thing in December which has grown. It's just gone over the last few years. So we've done 12 days of Christmas. I came up with this idea. Said, look, we could do 12 days of Christmas, and we got hoteliers involved and customers, and they were going to New York or Tenerife or Cyprus singing a Christmas song is what it was. And then we decided that as a team, we do things the year after. So we've done like games and I don't know, musical chairs or whatever it is. But it's quite competitive. I've been told, I'm HR as well, but I've been told by my daughter I have to be less competitive. I can't knock somebody off the chair out like that. Or when we're in sacks and doing sack races. But we've had live animals this year. They
Oh
decides to.
yeah, I'm a travel agent. Yeah, yeah.
So we did I'm a travel agent, get me out of here last year a little bit, and we've done a little bit more this year. But when I'm out and about, I was at a carol concert yesterday for my granddaughter, and it's happening all the time now. I went, oh, can't wait to see what you're all up to today. And I went, oh, I don't know what we're up to. It's down to them. So that's a momentum.
Yeah.
They love it. I love it, and it's fun, but also it's telling as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
has a great, the funny enough, we kind of playing with TikTok at the moment. I've said to them, look,
Oh,
we've done Facebook, so that's working really
when
well.
you say we, Tony, are you doing that? You're not even on Facebook. Surely you're not on TikTok, are you?
I'm definitely not on TikTok. But when I say we, I mean the royal we.
The
You know
royal
what I
we. I
mean?
know, I know.
I once heard about TikTok on something, and I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, but how great is that? I still think,
I was
look,
at a conference yesterday and they were saying it's like, obviously Google's huge for search, but second behind that now is TikTok is for search. So I think you need to be on it.
absolutely, yeah, and it's good to look at it, think what you can get out of it, and I still think it's exciting, isn't it? It's gone of the well, no, actually, I don't put too much in papers now, but gone are the days when you used to put it in the paper, and you've got all these different things that you can market wise. Yeah, it keeps you thinking every day, what can we do next?
Team as well. I mean the fun stuff is brilliant because as you say, it has all sorts of values, doesn't it? It keeps them
Yeah.
happy, but it's all exciting and stuff. But I know that sort of, you just said there, they look after you, you look after them. It's always been important to you, hasn't it? And like the fact that you said you're never going to let them go. I mean, you do really care about your team, bit more of a family, probably you could call them. I mean, that sort of well-being at work is something that I know you're really passionate about.
Yeah, look, actually, a couple of weeks ago, um, they all, or a few of them, took the families to what's it called? I forgot the Paul. Oh, Express. What's
Oh, the
the
Polo Express, the
Polar
Polo
Express?
Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Polar Express did come up, and I said, look, take your family on it, and so quite a few of them went on that. I paid for them to go on that. We've done llama trekking in the UK. We've taken them to Alton Towers, and we scared all the kids. We went to Halloween to one of the parks, which absolutely scared me to death as well. So it was nice, all kids screaming and crying. That were really not a great idea. But no, I do look, I think if we can, we spend a lot of time together, don't we? But what I try and do is do also things with the families and the partners and the kids. The kids come in here sometimes when if there's nobody to look after them after school, and they'll be
Do
sat
they? You've
at a
got a
desk
fresh
here.
going as well.
Yeah, well, my granddaughter comes in and they'll say, "Oh, do you mind, Tony, if they just sit there for half an hour before the grandma picks them up?" I went, "No, bring her in. It's great. I like it." I do feel that, as I said, I try and always, and it's probably meant more over the last few years,
Yeah,
and it's important. Look, it's as I said, I try to say, I do love the job. It is hard work though. I understand that, and it is stressful. So I don't think. I think actually being a travel agent, and I've found that over years, when we first started and I was going to these meetings and things, I would have said at that time it's probably wasn't very not over welcoming all them years ago. It was a bit staid in its ways. I don't feel it's like that now. I think it's still hard if you're an individual agent. I think that it can be lonely at the beginning because
yeah.
you're thinking, am I doing things right? It's nice to get to know other agents. Funny enough, the other day I met with some Yorkshire agents and we had a little bit of a meeting and then we all went out for a curry and stuff. But I know I can talk to them and say, do you know this or are we doing that right? And they'll, good
Which
and
is really
bad.
reassuring, I imagine, if you just to see what other people are seeing in their businesses.
Yeah, we're a little community, but we're a little family as well. We're
Right.
honest with each other. And I would say to people who need that out there, and it can be, as I said, you sometimes obviously you look at what's going on, you read. I mean, like actually talking to Travel Weekly every day, because now I can see it every day. I look at it every day, in fact,
Um,
3 or 4 times a day. Whereas I don't have to wait for the magazine anymore. And I mean, still get that, but and soak all that in what's going on and
you
like
still, yeah, it's great that you still love it. And I wanted to ask you, I mean, look, Tony, you just mentioned that it's been a really, really tough year for you personally. Um, but it sounds like, I think maybe travel has really saved you, kept you going. I know you probably had some time out, but your team probably did a sterling job while you had your time out. But would you say that travel, you still sound so passionate and it's probably really kept you going through everything you've been through?
Look, I'm 61. I was 61 this year. It's hard to believe in it. I know I still look 81. Yeah, it's been look, I'm not gonna lie, my wife passed away this year in not very nice circumstances. And, you know, it's important that people look after themselves. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be here without my wife. My team have looked after me, and my daughter and my family. You
Yeah,
know, they soldiered on when we weren't there. So I would say to all people out there, it's quite important that you look after yourselves.
yeah,
Mental health. Obviously, we talk about it, and we need to talk about it. It's
yeah.
really, really important. And I think COVID didn't help people in that way. Listen, I might try to be positive, etc., but we all have as dark
All have
or
down.
whatever,
Yes, we
don't we?
do.
And I don't want to dip it down too much. But what I'd say is, there's nothing wrong with get talking to people. Find that help. If you are feeling low, definitely go get the help. Have a look online, etc. Mind and things like that because
Yeah.
it can easily spiral out of and so all I would say is that to talk this has helped me. You're right. I think that travel, you know, somebody said to me last night, "Are you going to retire?" I'm absolutely not going to retire. There's not a chance. It will, you know, it. I still enjoy it. I get up, you know, well, early hours of the morning. I'm looking at all things early in the morning, thinking, what can we do today, or whatever. I love
Yeah,
the buzz in the shop. I love the buzz with the team. I love the buzz with the customers. I love, you know, meeting people, you know, when you go on conferences and things. And so we're lucky in that sense, you know, you've got to enjoy the things that you do. I think I probably said to you, you know, when we were after COVID, Advantage Conference were in Madeira. Wow, I mean, look at that. What's not to like about that? We were stood in the Savoy looking out,
yeah,
seeing, thinking that's just absolutely fantastic. But most importantly, you've got to look after yourselves as well. It's
yeah.
not all just that, you
Have
know,
you, have you,
it's
I mean, I know you say we all talk a bit about mental health. Have you sort of done more of it since what's happened with you and your wife? Do you think you've made that a bit more of a concerted effort to really talk to your team and to make sure they do take time out to talk to each other or to look after themselves? Do you think you've tried to bring more of that into your business?
I do, you know, I always say to them, "You okay? You know, how are you doing?" Do you know what I mean? You
They're
know,
probably more worried about you.
they're saying it to me. They are,
Yeah,
and I appreciate it. You know, and yeah, they do. Look, we're all going through all sorts. No, they do. I do. You know, say to him, if you ever want to speak to me, you can about anything. You might
yeah,
not want to, but if you don't want to me, go speak to somebody
yeah.
else. Do you know
As
what I
long
mean?
as people are speaking to someone and they feel they've got someone.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
as I said, COVID just, you know, I think that just even, you know, was harder. You know, it took the reality of life away, and you know, it was hard, wasn't it? You know, and I'm not saying things weren't hard before COVID, because obviously there were. You know, there were times you're going to have ups and downs, and it's getting out of them downs
but
that
I think it was the isolation. It
it
was
was
hard, and then it was the isolation. So the feeling that it was just all on
took
you.
away so quickly,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
So
yeah,
look, I think you've got to enjoy any little wins. And any win, any little win, it
yeah,
don't matter. It don't matter that, look, you know, we were quite lucky that over the last few years we've won awards at Jet 2.
yeah,
And I'm, you know,
yeah,
and I'm proud of that. But it's not all about that either. I totally understand that, right? Wins is, you know, doing what you're doing, enjoying it, being in business, whatever that is, whatever type of travel agent, homemaker, etc. Or you're employed. If you're loving it, what's wrong with that? You
yeah,
know, and you wherever you are in travel and you're enjoying it, that's the most important. It doesn't matter about the title, right? It's important about the
yeah.
title. You just
Oh,
need to enjoy.
absolutely. So
So
well said. In fact, actually, I was at a conference. I was saying that Sally Gunnell was the speaker. You'll remember her. A lot of young people there probably didn't know who she was. But I was interviewing her, and she was saying the one thing we don't do is take time out to just celebrate the good things because we're always on to the next thing. So you're absolutely exactly what she said. So yeah. So obviously, with that in mind, then talking about wins, are you looking forward to the turn of year? Have you got plans? And what are your predictions for next year? Are you confident? Are you looking forward to a good year, Tony?
I think whatever happens will be a good year. Okay. You know, we all say about it growing, etc. Look, we've had a fantastic, and when I say we, I'm on about the royal we in travel. Okay. I like to use the word we, you know, deep down. It's not, as I say, when I say we do this at Idle Travel means I don't, the other team do it. But I do, look, we've had some great couple of years, and whatever we've got next, if the growth is slower, who cares? Really, we're still going to be here. We've still done well.
You're
I
coming
still
away.
think, well, I
What
think
about
people want to go away. You know,
yeah,
you know, we've just said life is hard,
yeah.
and you know, obviously, cost of living, etc., and all that lot is
I know.
going.
And I was going to ask you about the budget as well, and the hike in national insurance that hit a lot of agents who obviously anyone who's got employees. Is that a headache?
Ridiculous.
Another headache you've got to kind of consider.
It is, you know, you look at that and it's probably going to cost us £20,000, okay, easily. And
Yeah.
you just think, well, okay, where am I going to find that from, really? I'm going to find it though. It doesn't, you know, but what it does is, actually, I've just taken an apprentice on, so it'd have been easy not to take an apprentice on, wouldn't it? I mean, I did.
Well, yeah.
It's to be honest, it's me. I just still talk now, but it's my grandson. But but you would think, oh, do I do that, or do I take it from marketing? And you take it from marketing, and it don't, you know. So you have to tweak things, and I suppose be clever. We're quite lucky because we're a small company. I can slow things down pretty quick. But I've
Yeah,
still just signed off a load of radio advertising. And actually, I'm spending more this January, February, March than I did last January, February,
really.
March.
And that was a record year. So
And
that's,
that was a record year.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, 20, what are we now? 24. So 23 was a record year by a
yeah,
lot. 24 bet that by a bit, which was still a, and I say that because I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And so look, it's not going to be in my head, or in is going to be at this COVID times. So travel is brilliant to adapt. So people are not going to stop going on holiday. They need the holidays, and whatever that might be, us as travel agents can help people tweak to get what their budget is, can't we? We're really good. So
yeah,
AI is okay. You're talking about AI. I did, and I've told them Jet2's new AI on the trade site. I put in grumpy old Yorkshireman wants 4 5-star hotel in Greece. Specialty restaurants, but it made me chuckle. But it answered questions, and I was looking at it, and look, all these things you can embrace. The internet came along, everybody said we were going to disappear. We haven't disappeared. We've come back with a vengeance. So I still think we've got, listen, people like people. It's important people talk to people. So we
yeah,
can use all these tools to help us.
yeah, of course.
Absolutely. You might see me dancing on TikTok, possibly. Who knows? That might be the
Or
future.
an AI version of Tony Mann, which is
An
a bit,
AI.
that's
That's probably
terrifying.
better.
Better, you think? Okay.
Yeah, filtered, and maybe I've got some hair dye, so me white hair has disappeared. So I think it's exciting, all new
Yeah,
technology and things like
yeah,
that. And it's how we, as ourselves in travel and travel agents, we're pretty good at thinking how can we use it,
yeah.
So
So
we are good at,
whether you've got extra costs or whatever it is, you'll increase your conversions or you'll tighten your belt on certain costs, whatever it is, you'll find a way through and you feel positive about next year.
yeah, we'll adapt to whatever's coming. We'll
Yeah,
we'll have a good year. Absolutely.
brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, Tony. Well, listen, fantastic you're taking on your grandson. I wish him all the best. That's
I'll have
fantastic.
more than grey hair after
Yeah.
he's been working with us.
Well, you've got to have a succession plan, Tony, because you're not going to
Absolutely.
last forever. You're going to have your daughter and your grandson, you see. So,
And absolutely, absolutely.
although it does sound like that you're going to be there for a while, and we are so pleased about that because you are one of the biggest characters in the industry. We love
Oh,
talking to
thank
you,
you.
and I'm so thrilled to get to speak to you again and to see you. Really passionate as you always have been about travel, but it
Oh,
has been tough, and I really commend you for getting through it. And I wish you all the best, Tony. You know I do, and thank you for talking to us today. And happy 40th.
thank you, thank
Yeah,
you. So, yeah, that's good. Who can believe it? So yeah, 40
exactly.
years, and it's flown by. So yeah,
Oh, here's to the next 40, my darling. All right.
absolutely. Thank you, Lucy. Thanks for speaking. And lot everybody, look after yourselves and have a great year.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. See you soon.